Hello everyone, I am here with Frank Soladis, the founder of the International Project Management Day at the PMI Global Congress 2013. Hello Frank.
Hi, how are you? Nice to be here.
I am very well, thank you. You must be ecstatic. You have just been named a new PMI Fellow last night.
Yeah, that was kind of a surprise, and I felt really good about it. It hasn't really set in. This award is such a prestigious award, and I feel very privileged to be in the company of such great people that were involved in the evolution of PMI and in project management. So it's a great feeling.
Well, yeah. Congratulations from all of us. And in the words of Wayne's World, I am not worthy. I am not worthy. All right. But we are here today to talk about your involvement with the International Project Management Day. You're the founder of it, right?
Yes, I am. Yeah, I created it back in the end of 2004. It was a kind of a challenge. I had graduated from the Project Management Institute, Leadership Institute master's class, and the professor, Jerry Brightman, said to the graduates to go out and change the world. And I thought that was a kind of a tall order, and I kept thinking about it, and I came up with the idea. I said, we have Mother's Day and Father's Day, and we used to have Secretary's Day. I think it's called Administrative Assistance Day. And I looked at all these things and I said, it's time that we did something to recognize project managers. So I came up with International Project Management Day.
Right. And Change the World is actually a good segue because we have talked about International Project Management Day previously here on the program. And what we want to look at today is more how you have changed the world, to see what effect the International Project Management Day has indeed had on the profession, on project managers out there, and maybe also on how project managers today can use it as part of their daily projects. But first, when is the next one? And which number is it this year?
Well, officially, this would be the ninth time we've actually done an actual set of events, okay? The first true official event after I launched International Project Management Day in 2004. The first absolute worldwide event took place in November of 2005. And what I did was I picked a day that I was trying to find a day that would work best for everyone and minimize the number of other holidays are out there. And around the world, every day is a holiday somewhere. But I picked the first Thursday of November. So it's the first Thursday of November every year. And this year it happens to be on the 7th of November. So it's always going to be on that first Thursday. And it's really kind of grown quite a bit every year. If we go back to the International Institute for Learning actually created the first true worldwide webinar back in 2005. And we had about maybe 3,000 people attend that, okay? Now, there are so many events around the world that last year my very conservative estimate on people attending various events in different countries and also in different companies and PMI chapters was a little over 100,000. And we think that number will be greater this year, 2013. There's just so many places that are having events that it just has grown in popularity, and it's really about that recognition of project managers. And I think that's the important thing, is that recognition.
And that's 100,000 people basically celebrating the International Project Management Day with various activities around the world, if I understood that right.
That's correct. There are multiple activities and events, anything from small dinner meetings and even cocktail hours to full-blown events like the New Jersey chapter of PMI does an annual event that draws 350, 400 people. The UK has something called the Synergy, and they've run that for the last 3 years, and I know that they are sold out at over 500 people attending their event. There are events going on in Australia and various Romania, Hungary, in France. They're just everywhere where people are taking just a few minutes to recognize project managers and the idea behind project management as being valuable to a business.
Mm-hmm. All right. These are the events. What would you say are some of the changes that have occurred in the worldwide project management community as a result of the International Project Management Day?
Well, I guess the biggest change would be that I think the goal was really to heighten awareness about the a value of a project manager. I focus on something a little bit different than PMI. The Project Management Institute kind of focuses on making project management indispensable to business. And, my take on that is that, project management is really part of every business. And so I thought that in order to have good, solid project management, you had to have good, solid project managers. So my focus was on making the project manager indispensable for business. And with that, I profess through my classes and the programs that I do and talking to lots of other people that what we want to do here is that we want to get the project manager to be seen by their organizational leaders as go-to people that get things done through leadership, through good solid management, through motivating people, through solving problems. So I think all of that has really helped the what we call the perception of project manager. And I joke about this every once in a while when I am in a class and I say, have you ever heard someone say, oh, don't make a project out of this? Because what we have here is this perception that, oh no, now it's a project, now it's going to be overhead, it's going to take forever, it's not going to get done, it's going to take too long. And that is exactly the opposite of what we teach in project management classes and training and so on. So I think that IPM Day, if it really had any one major impact, was that it is something that we need, that project managers provide a very valuable contribution to their organizations, and that they really should be appreciated for being those people that go in there and integrate multiple things together and sometimes perform amazing feats to get things done.
What have you learned and observed about project managers since you first introduced the International Project Management Day?
Well, now that's a kind of an interesting question, and I've observed a lot about project managers. I know that there are people who are very good project managers, and then there are people who are not, okay? And that I've seen project managers who think that the role of the project manager is simply to check off whether or not an activity has been completed. And I've seen project managers who are those who motivate people and solve problems and facilitate and integrate. So what I've seen here in my I guess since International Project Management got started, that we have a greater sense towards accepting the leadership position of a project manager. And I kind of joke about that a little bit also, because if we think about the characteristics of a good project manager would be someone that does have leadership skills, someone that can understand problems and bring the right people together and the talent to fix them. But then, if I flip the coin over, if we have project managers, we also have what are known, I call them project damagers. Okay, and these are the folks that kind of just do the opposite of what yes. We try to profess by planning too long and demoralizing a team, and not being able to make a decision and simply just doing checklists instead of actual leading. So my observation is, over the years, I think that project managers are much more sensitized to two things. One is, hey, I am providing something of extreme value to my organization, and that I am learning a lot more about being a strong leader. So I think that those are two things that I think we've made a contribution on.
Mm. Do you get any kind of feedback from project managers or organizers of events from around the world that tell you how it went, what it did for them? Do you hear anything back?
Yeah, actually, what happens is after the event, people will give me like a summary, and then we'll post it up on the website, and we'll talk about the things that went on. And I think that the general theme about all these events is what we call the power of the profession. And every time I get a comment back, it's, well, we learned something new. We networked more. We feel really proud about what we do. People are beginning to appreciate us more. And it also is building momentum because they immediately start to plan for the event the following year. So each year it grows, and I think that the general feedback I get, if I was kind of summarize it, was we're feeling pretty good about ourselves for a little while. And I think that's good. We all need some recognition. Everybody should feel good about the work that they do, and it will encourage them to keep moving forward.
Right. Today, value seems to be the topic of interest when you talk to business executives, right? how has the International Project Management Day, where you focus on the project managers, influenced the value proposition of project management and skilled project managers?
Well, when you think about value, I kind of a simple way to assess value. The first thing you have to do is you ask yourself, when the project is completed, are you, rather your company and your client, better off now than they were before you did the project? And if you can answer yes to that question, then you have to ask how. Well, how are they benefiting now more? Are they making more money? Do they have a greater market share? Is the morale better than it was? Are they more efficient? Have they reduced costs? Do they have a longer-term strategy for relationships with clients and things like that? So those are the kinds of things that we need to look at when it comes to value. And we have different values in different organizations, but it really boils down to, when we are done, is your customer happy with you? And if the answer to that question is yes, then you really have to ask, well, why? I got what I wanted. It came in when it was supposed to come in. And even if it was a little bit late, I still got what I wanted. And it's going to last me a long time. And I have a great relationship, and I'd like to continue to do business with you. And I think that all those are elements of value.
All right. So that's the focus on the company, the customer, the C-levels. Let's look at the project managers themselves. So what, in your opinion, are the three major skill areas that today's project managers should focus on and continue to develop to ensure that their personal brand and value increases for their organization as well as, of course, their career path?
The information that I have about, what project managers should be developing in terms of skills, surprisingly, well, maybe not surprisingly, but I think some people may see it as a surprise, is that the softer skills seem to be the area where most people are focusing right now. And we have to have a balance between those soft skills and what we'll call the technical skills. So number one, in a survey that I had seen done not that long ago, where they looked at 1,500 different corporations and the CIOs, and they asked them, what criteria do you look for when you're hiring a project manager? The number one item, believe it or not, from IT professionals was leadership. That was number one. And then others were dealing with ambiguity and also being able to communicate at multiple levels, okay? If you kind of look at the top skills, and leadership really sort of like an umbrella skill for multiple other skills, but you have leadership, you have that communicating ability, but by far and above everything that I can think of, a project manager has to be able to develop good, solid relationships with other people. And I'm not talking about being friends with everybody. I'm talking about you have to develop a relationship that's respectful, that is professional, and that people understand, how we need to work together to get things done. So those are the kinds of things that I think about. Relationship being truly, truly the key to any successful project manager. So that's how I would look at those skills.
So the next International Project Management Day is on November 7th. Probably not enough time to get an event going, but what and how would people approach it if they, say, wanted to get an event set up for the Project Management Day in 2014?
Well, there's still time. International Project Management Day is really a day of recognition. So if you don't have an actual event planned, a project manager can simply, during a meeting of their project team, say, hey, let's take a few minutes and reflect back on our accomplishments, and maybe they'll bring in some coffee and cake or something like that, and we'll have a little brief recognition event. Thanks the team. Okay, so that type of recognition is very simple. It can be done anytime, and I recommend that we acknowledge people for the work that they do. So that's one thing. Other things that they could do would be to have small, a company-wide event, or look around to see if the local PMI chapter or professional organizations might want to have anything from a social hour that lasts a couple of hours to a full-day set of conferences. Alcatel-Lucent is an example of a company that has done an internal event every year that basically draws in, I think, around 3,000 people, okay? The International Institute for Learning has a virtual conference that they're expecting to draw somewhere around 50 or 60,000 people on November 7th as a virtual conference that you can come to free of charge. the New Jersey chapter, as I mentioned before, several hundred people, UK chapter. So my suggestion would be, how big do you want the event to be? Who do you want to be involved in it? How much control do you want to have over it? And then go from there. The bottom line, the overarching goal is really recognition. So how you do that is really up to the organization. Small event, a round table, have coffee. I know several organizations that do that very thing. They just set up a break room somewhere. They have coffee, donuts, cakes, and things like that. They put up a sign, thanks project managers. People come in there, have a coffee, and just talk. And the good thing about that is, whatever the event is, somebody's going to say, well, the project managers, we're thanking them for what?
What for?
And now you have an opportunity for the project manager to say, well, let me tell you a little about what I do, okay? And one of the things that I was just thinking about while you were asking that question, and why it's important to have this day, is, and I mentioned this yesterday during a workshop that I did at the Project Management Institute Leadership meeting, and I asked the audience, when you ask a child, what do you want to be when you grow up? How many of them raise their hand and say, I want to be a project manager? And you know what? The answer is never. No one ever does. And yet, if you think about it, it is really a pretty interesting profession. We use project managers that design the craft that put people on the moon, the rovers on Mars, the International Space Station, the smartphones, the new phones that are out, the iPads and all that. Anything and everything that we do, the buildings that we live in, everything is associated with project management. And I think that our goal with International Project Management Day would be to get people to appreciate that you can't have life the way we know it without project managers. But we also need to make project management seem, it's going to sound funny, I guess, but we need to make it more cool. We need to get people to go, wow, it's cool to be a project manager. And I think that that's our main goal.
All right. Well, let's translate this into actions that people can actually take here. So how would our listeners leverage the expertise, the influence, the worldwide recognition that the International Project Management Day is giving them? How do they leverage into their work and tell people about the complexity of what we do as project managers?
Well, it's an interesting thing that you say that, because I was listening to the keynote presentation this morning here at the World Congress, and he said something that I had to write down. He said, think of www.healthcare.com. And then he said, if there was ever a case for project management, this is it, okay? So it doesn't matter who you are, especially in the U.S., but you'll know what that means. And you're going to see that we absolutely positively need to have people to get things organized. They have to have a good scope of work. They have to understand complexity. They have to understand risk. They have to bring in the people that are needed to do it at the right skill level. We have to have very strong leadership, good solid management. We have to get a handle on the technology. We have to make sure we understand the resources, and we need to make sure that we have the right amount of time to do it, and we have to understand it. So if you look at project management, that's what we do. That's what we do. We organize stuff. We integrate things. We get people to see the big picture and how their little piece fits into the bigger picture. We're coordinating, facilitating, all those different things. To me, I think the message that project managers should bring back to their organizations is a few things. Number one, if you go into the profession or the field of project management, number one, you're going to learn what we'll call life skills. These skills are very, very portable. Leadership skills, managerial skills, understanding business. These are all things that we can learn. How to deal with people, especially difficult people. Understanding the business. As a project manager, you are involved in understanding how just about every part of a business works, because you're working with multiple functional groups. So we need to use that leverage of all these skills to get people to understand that the project manager is absolutely a go-to person in an organization. So, if we were going to use this as leverage, number one is make sure that you do have the skills. Make sure that you're confident in your skills. Make sure that you're a very good communicator, that you can explain things not only to the executives, but to your project team and also to your customer in different levels of detail. Okay, that's really, really important. That you have to demonstrate how you can pull together all of the piece parts as a true integrator and making sure that everybody at every level in the project not only knows their piece part, but how their smaller piece fits into the bigger system of what we call the project, okay? I use Dr. Kerzner's book as an example. He says it's a systems approach to planning, scheduling, and controlling. And everybody needs to understand, and especially the project manager gets this message across, that your piece, your very small piece, and you might think it's small, is absolutely totally important in order to make the big system work. And that's what we need to do. Get the leverage out there to show that we're integrators, coordinators, we're pulling together the piece parts, and we have to do it with enthusiasm. We have to do it like we really mean it, and we have to have people understanding that we're excited to get it done, and we want you to be excited too.
All right. Once again, the next International Project Management Day is coming up on November 7th, 2013, and then again on the first Thursday every year until project management is no longer needed, which will be never.
That's right.
All right. Frank, thank you very much for coming on the program today.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.